want me to go ahead?
I've never spoken in public.
Can I please? Thanks for coming, guys. It's been a wonderful experience to see how these young people, these 9 activists, really are doing something very courageous, not only for themselves, but for a lot of families that are in this situation. 1.7 million people, they say, but in reality, it's 1.7 million families that are affected by this immigration status quo that serves nobody, that is broken, that we know it doesn't serve families, and we know it is really meant to bring, it's a 2-tier system that is meant to bring talent and reach people here, and it's meant to prevent and keep people that are not necessarily wealthy in the shadows. And these kids are being brave enough to be part of a larger movement, a national movement today on Dreamers. But I think it's very special what they are doing this time, because they are really breaking boundaries and breaking borders, not only in a metaphorical way, but in a real sense, because they're creating a movement that is binational, but it should be a transnational movement. It should be an international movement. I've met some of you today, and they are not all of them coming from Mexico, right? There are people that are coming from other places, and the challenge that these kids are trying to do, I think, today is very, very significant for the movement, for the future of the country, and for the future of any immigration reform that we can push the politicians to do, because they're not willing to do. Thank you.
My name is Gabriel Gutierrez. I teach in the Department of Chicano-Chicana Studies. I first met Lisbeth and Alma when I was doing a show at KPFK, and they would come and do a segment on the DREAM Act, on pushing the DREAM Act. And so I first started to work with them then, and got to know them a little bit in terms of not just the issues, but in terms of who they were. And by their example, I think they also demonstrated in a variety of different ways that all of you who are dreamers, all of you who at one point or another have been dreamers, serve as our moral compass. You essentially are giving direction to the rest of us in terms of how we need to engage a very unjust and a very unfair system in society. And you also are guiding us in terms of how and when we should raise the types of questions that we should raise in terms of how the immigration debate is being framed. The way it's being framed is very, very narrow, obviously, and it's being done by the media, by the pundits, and by other people who very obviously, don't want us here, right? What it raises and what your actions do is it gives everyone really the courage to begin to think outside the box and to really begin to contextualize what this is really about. When we talk about immigration, it's almost laughable if it wasn't so painful at a country that has only been in existence for 237 years, thinks that it has the moral authority to legislate and to limit the migration and the movement of people who have been here for tens of thousands, and according to some estimates, hundreds of thousands of years. And that's what you bring to the table. You bring that courage, you bring that knowledge, and you bring really this idea that for the rest of us who were born here, right, who are nonetheless affected by these issues, because as I'm speaking right now, I have 2 members of my extended family who have been deported. And in my extended family, we do have people who are of mixed status and who are being very much affected by this, right? Know that you're not alone. Know that you are encouraging really the rest of us by these actions, Lisbeth and the other 8 dreamers and everyone else. The young man that we met earlier who was arrested in Alabama. Where are you? Yeah, big round of applause to you. We were joking a little while ago for being before other, initially being among the older folks that are here. And the more seasoned, said you can't get any more seasoned than that. You really cannot get any more
Calling me
seasoned.
old?
I'm not calling you old. I'm calling you experienced, and in terms of basically putting all of us on notice that you are an example for all of us. So no, thank you. And with that, know that we only expect, hopefully, that these actions will only get bigger as more and more people really come to the table and really come to pressure the local elected officials that they need to do their job. They need to go out. They don't need to answer to the corporate bosses that they have or the Democratic Party that is telling them and dictating to them what the policies are. They need to respond essentially to the people who put them in office. Right? So thank you all very much.